case briefs, and so much more. LSData's got what you're looking for.
In 1884, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court heard the case of Commonwealth v. Pierce, a landmark case that established a physician could in fact be found guilty of manslaughter for acting recklessly and causing a patient's death. Moreover, the court determined that shielding behind good intentions or claims of ignorance cannot absolve individuals from legal liability. The case found itself in the courtroom after a man treated a woman with flannels soaked in kerosene, a controversial treatment that resulted in her untimely death. At the core of the legal proceedings was the duty to determine whether the reckless mental state of the defendant was pertinent to establish his guilt for homicidal felony. The court was also tasked with evaluating whether the defendant's optimistic expectations and good intentions, despite societal norms deeming such a treatment unreasonable or even foolish, could validate his actions. Interestingly, they also had to revisit the centuries-old precedent set by Lord Hale's statement in Commonwealth versus Thompson, which might have been in error according to some. Subsequent court rulings in both England and the United States have pronounced physicians guilty in cases of death resulting from reckless conduct, thus setting a new trend. The liability of the accused was not dependent on his knowledge or ignorance of the potential fatal consequences of the kerosene treatment. Notably, evidence against the defendant comprised not only of previous successful applications of similar treatments, but also instances of considerable harm. Two pivotal questions dominated the trial: whether the defendant required sufficient knowledge of the potential fatality of the prescription to be pronounced obstinate and rashly willful, and whether an honest intent to heal could exculpate guilt notwithstanding gross ignorance. The court guided the jury's decision-making by underscoring that wicked intent was not a determinant. Instead, the primary focus was on ascertaining whether the lethal use of kerosene was a result of brash presumption or gross negligence. The ruling held the defendant guilty of manslaughter. The defendant was deemed responsible to uphold the standard of skill necessary to treat the woman appropriately and avoid gross recklessness, a standard he did not meet. This verdict redefined the boundaries of physician accountability, reaching a consensus that neither patient consent nor good intentions can justify actions that endanger human life.
Case briefs, and so much more. LSData's got what you're looking for. Visit lsd.law, elevate your mind. Leave the stress of class.